Distinguished Mr. President of Auxiliary Police, distinguished authorities and dignitaries, distinguished representatives of the academia, esteemed dear professionals and supporters to this conference, including the very excellent interpretation services provided here. We have been invited, a couple of foreigners, and we are all extremely honored and pleased to be here. We have been very well taken care of. We have been treated very nicely, and we owe everything to the Auxiliary Police Budapest, brilliantly led by Mr. Polgárőr. I bring greetings from two German societies, two prestigious societies, the Society of Criminalistics of Republic of Germany and the Society of Criminology. I have the honor to be elected lifetime member of both societies, and I bring warmest greetings. They look with great respect to you. The presidents of both organizations and the board of directors have tasked me and mandated me and authorized me to wish all the best to your organization and to thank you very much for hosting this excellent conference. I hope my secretary did not make a mistake in Hungarian language. I hope it's right what she put down. Before I explain 3 minutes my experiences and 5 minutes talk a little bit about policing and 5 minutes about funding and projects, I would like to share with you my first experience and my first encounter with auxiliary police. Karachi is the capital of the Pakistan province Sindh. Pakistan has 5 provinces. Punjab is the biggest one with around 90 million inhabitants. Sindh is the second one with around 60 million inhabitants, followed by Balochistan, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Kashmir. In 2013, the Pakistan-German Chamber of Commerce has complained to the German foreign minister that the transaction costs to make business in Karachi are too high. Too many managers have been abducted and kidnapped. The death toll of policemen in Karachi is around 200 policemen die in the line of duty every year. So the commissioner of police goes almost every working day or every second working day to a funeral. I have been tasked by the German government to go to Karachi and to see what can be done. And I met, of course, the Commissioner of Police. I met other authorities. I met the Minister of Interior. It's an independent province, fairly independent. And I was advised to visit a community peace center. It didn't mean anything to me, but I went to the place and I met the manager and I learned incredible things. Firstly, they have the hotline which the police should have. They negotiate in cases of kidnapping. They provide victim support. They have a criminal statistics, which is much more realistic than the official one. And it was incredible. I opened my eyes and I realized what volunteerism and patriotism and engagement can result in. I was deeply impressed, and we decided also to support this community peace center, which was much more effective than 110,000 policemen in the province of Sindh. This was my first encounter with incredibly effort of citizenship and engaged, concerned people. Now, who am I? There should be a question mark. I'm a retired judge. I started as a panel judge in the province of Bavaria in Germany, and I ended as a commissioner of police in the Ministry of Interior some 10 years ago. After that, I made myself available to the European Union Commission and to the government of Germany to direct large projects. One of them was providing police support to Afghanistan, a 170 million euro project. Another one was in Pakistan following my mission. At the moment I'm directing a 10 million project of European Union Commission in the Kingdom of Jordan. I want to talk, I said 5 minutes about policing, because my heart still beats for public safety and security. And I would like to show you share with you two examples of, the first one is failed policing, and the second one is ethical policing. The older ones among you may remember the 7th of June 1989, when this very famous Tiananmen Place shooting took place. Actually, I worked for UN, for United Nations Division of Narcotic Drugs between 86 and 89, and 1988, Secretary General Pérez de Cuellar sent me to China to promote a UN convention which we have drafted a year ago in 1987. This UN Convention against illicit drug trafficking and money laundering, this was adopted by the General Assembly in 1988, and the UN Secretary General wanted to promote the convention to be signed and to be ratified. And I was sent to a mission to China. I met the Minister of Interior. At that time, China had 55 ministries, and in 88, I promise, in 1988, China had still a ministry for shoes, to provide every citizen with a pair of shoes, 1988. And the Minister of Interior in 1988, a year before this very scandalous shooting took place, in my last talk with the Minister of Interior at the airport, before I departed, he said to me, Mr. Christoph, we have a problem. We have no capabilities to deal with unpeaceful demonstrations. Up to now, we only organized peaceful party demonstrations, organized by our political party, by our governing party, but we have no experience with unpeaceful demonstrations. Can you do something about it? We have no distance weapons, we have nothing. We have nothing between nothing and deadly shooting. I reported to the Secretary General. I said, can we do something about it? He said, no, there's no political will, there's no majority in the ECOSOC and in the General Assembly to do something. And a year later, this very famous shooting took place, and according to statistics, and according to the source of the statistics, between 2,000 and 12,000 people died. This is unsuccessful policing. Let me come to another example of ethical policing. On the 5th of October 2088, General Augusto Pinochet Duarte, dictator of Chile, for 16 years. He wanted to know if the population of Chile still accepted him. And he made a referendum, he made a plebiscite with just one question. Do you want me to remain in power lifelong, or do you want to have elections? A stupid question, honestly. But he was made believing that people liked him so much that they would vote him till his end of his life in power. And at that time, there was a very brave chief of police, a commissioner of Carabineros de Chile, Rodolfo Stange. You see him here on the picture. I know him, he reported it to me personally. He told me that he was called to the dictator, to Augusto Pinochet, into the bunker, and at that time, the Ministry of Interior had still not published the results. It was the same day, and Chile is an organized country. I mean, everyone expected the outcome of the elections. All people went on the street. The streets were full, crowded. People moved around. They wanted to hear what's going on now politically. And Pinochet, he asked Rodolfo Stange, the commissioner of police, to end these demonstrations. He said, end it. And the commissioner of police, Stange, Rodolfo Stange, he said, no, mi general, no, my general, I will not do that. Police is by the people, for the people. Police is not against the people. And then Pinochet said, okay, I do it without you, I do it with military, with infantry, I do it with Air Force, and I do it with Marines. And all three said, no, General, your time is over. This is ethical policing by a very brave commissioner of police. Policing has changed, and I include also auxiliary policing into policing. Policing today is a very sophisticated task. It's a high-tech task for ethical minds. And there's a Spanish saying, Policía es por el pueblo, para el pueblo. This expresses very nicely what we all believe in. We have in the last 2 days, I have witnessed so many wonderful lectures here. I have had excellent talks with colleagues from auxiliary police, and I was deeply impressed how strong they are committed, how high the ethical standards are, and how patriotic they act. I would like now to talk a word about policing from the people for the people. Of course, police as a regular police cannot necessarily mirror the whole spectrum of society. But auxiliary police can, because it's much more flexible, and it can include also not only mainstream, but also side streams of society, and in a way it adds a democratic element to policing. The main tasks of police are three. One is maintaining public order, public and safety. Don't be disturbed by this Urdu words below, it's the same. Task number two is crime fighting, and task number three is prevention and creating trust. In all three areas, auxiliary police can find very useful tasks. But of course, these tasks have to be well described, and you need a legal framework for it, and you need, of course, also complaint management and a lot of capacity building. And I see it's in very good hands with the Hungarian auxiliary police, which impresses me very much. There are three characteristics with policing, and the first two make the third one. Number one is to act professionally. There's no other mean to replace professionalism. Professionalism is A and O. If you don't act professionally, you have no chance. Number two is acting legally, and legality and lawfulness do not replace professionalism. They have only indirectly to do with each other. You have to comply with both of them. And both automatically create trust. Trust is not an artificial thing. Trust must be well deserved. You must work very hard for trust. But if you act professionally and legally, trust is an automatic result. No PR campaign can create trust. If it's found out that you are cheating people, they will directly react aggressively. My 5 minutes are over about policing, and I want to talk about money. I have to jump here. I want to talk about funding. I want to talk about funding at a relatively higher level. There are a lot of funds available, which are, yes, they are difficult to obtain, but they are available. One instrument is contributing to stability and peace. It's not less than 2.3 billion euros for the next 6 years. And every year, these funds are not exhausted. They go back. At the moment, I'm directing a 10 million project in Jordan, and they are desperate. EU is desperately looking for other projects, and they cannot find projects. I will later talk about project funding. Another financial instrument which is wonderfully to be used, it's from the Directorate General for Development. It's incredibly much money. You must just find it. You must just find your trail to it. The neighborhood policy is another instrument. It's not applicable to you because you are a member of the European Union in good standing. But funds which are perfectly fitting to what you do is under a radicalization awareness network. Everything what you do, or almost everything what you do, can be subsumed under preventing extremism. Because a population which is dissatisfied with the government will possibly become extreme and turn to be extreme. So everything what you do contributes to peace and stability in your country. The project as such is managed by Rada Europe in Amsterdam. They have been awarded. This is a 25 million project, but they have 9 working groups. They deal with municipalities, they deal with education, they deal with youth and other topics. But you must just join a working group to be eligible, and then you must submit a project. And the project funds can come from 3 different sources. One is internal security, and you see there's a lot of money there, 314 million euro. And at the end, there's always the structural and investment fund available. So as you see from the amounts, there's almost no limit. I strongly recommend that you look into a radicalization awareness network. The Belgian police did. They got a 5 million project. There are many small projects like this, 5 million, 3 million, 6 million, and everything contributes to peace and avoids extremism. This is too early. A last word to how to make a project, how to design a project. I would like to share with you my experience as a representative of a donor. Projects look different if you look it from a donor's perspective or from a recipient's perspective. A recipient wants to have a project running as long as possible, flexible, extendable, and covering all administrative costs. This is exactly the opposite what the donor wants. A donor is more interested in the end of the project than in the beginning of a project. Why? Because at the end of the project, a donor knows that he is not committed anymore. So a project design must start with the end of the project. Number two, you need a clear purpose. And this purpose must be supported by indicators. And these indicators must be weighted. So you have to submit a log frame which shows your indicators and your main goal and your sub-goals. That's number two. Number three, many recipients, they need financing administrative costs. Wrong. Will never be supported. Because no donor wants to put all his money into administrative costs, running a secretariat. Not that. Also, if someone submits a project design asking for only equipment, wrong. Put a purpose in and relate equipment to purposes, then you have a chance. Number four is, no one should have touched your idea. You cannot submit the same idea to 3 different donors, because every donor wants to have a virgin project. Every donor wants to be the first one and not the second one. And number five, you need a recommendation. A non-interested party should recommend your project. You will think about that. I want it to be short because it's at the end of the conference. Let me assure you again, Mr. President and distinguished authorities and dignitaries of Hungary, I'm deeply impressed what you have organized. We all benefited. You made me a student. I learned a lot today and yesterday. So many good ideas on the market. It was just wonderful to be with you. Thank you very much.